All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cleaning Hustle podcast. We are very excited that you are here with us today. We have yet another amazing, fantastic, super episode. And I've got one of my very, 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 very good friends. We've known each other for well over 15 years.
Right.
And so everybody, I'd like you to meet Mr. Gregg Simmons. Yay.
Yay, little clap. Yay.
All right, Gregg. So these are always fun for me, especially with guys that I've known for a really long time. So let's kind of establish like how we met first, because I don't remember. You probably remember better than I do. Did you reply to an ad or what?
I called the 972 number, I think it was at the time, dialed it probably 4, 5, 6 times within a couple days. I don't remember who answered. I don't know if it was you or who it was, but then that's how it went down. Met with you. I went to work for you. Yeah.
So part of the story that I probably don't know or don't remember, did you have janitorial experience prior to that?
Yeah, so I think we already had the company going, and we were trying to build a little bit more, so that's why I reached out to you, and I was like, we can.
So were you looking for subcontracting?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you were like, let me be a subcontractor. And then we met. What was that first conversation like?
We had some accounts for you, and went through all the paperwork and got things going. That's when you were out at the Mesquite Airfield. Was it Mesquite? Mesquite Airfield.
Yeah, Mesquite
right?
Metro Airport.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, you were out there. So
that little 800 square foot office.
yes, with a little bitty bathroom. And
yeah.
The planes downstairs. I thought that was really cool. I like that. So.
And then you've always lived in Keller, Texas.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, how did you become a sales guy for me then?
I'm 50 years old and I can't really remember everything because I'm getting old.
I'm sure knowing me, I probably saw your potential and I was like, hey, I want you to help me out. Let's do this.
Right.
So we had a trip to Louisiana.
In the 300?
Yeah, the Chrysler 300.
Our head like this?
Yeah, we were listening to LMFAO.
Oh, my God.
Do you want to sing a little bit of that for us?
No. Let's keep it G-rated, okay?
Okay.
I got to bleep things out. But we were doing that when you made me wear a tie. I didn't want to wear ties. I was so can't stand stuff around my neck. And, we were going door to door on some things. Yeah, I remember that. We did that in Bedford, Texas, at I think it was the Park Plaza, I think it was.
Yeah.
We were just going door to door, handing out brochures.
Cold calling.
Oh, yeah. Beating the streets, as you would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old school.
So you decided to give up on me and go do your own thing.
Well, I mean, I think things started to take off, and I think at that time, I wasn't in a good mental spot, because of my first marriage and everything. Remember we talked?
Yeah.
You were there. I just don't think I was there with the kids. It just wasn't a good fit. It was the dynamics were not there. So I just kept doing my own stuff because we've been in business over 20 years. So I'd met you later. So back in 99, 2000 when the doors officially opened. But we had met 5 years later. So, but business just was not, it just was tough.
So how did you come up with the idea of starting janitorial in the first place?
So basically how it started back in 99, 2000, I went to work for a doctor's office. I don't know if you know, downtown Fort Worth, next to Baylor Hospital, Harris Hospital, excuse me, there is a medical arts building. It's a 4-story building on Magnolia and 8th Avenue. That was where I worked. So I was working with patients and stuff like that for a doctor. I'm not going to name any names. So
working with patients, what do you mean? Were you
rehab therapy?
Okay.
Chronic back pains, can't walk very good, things like that.
Okay.
So I was there, and then the manager at the time, his name is Lewis. We got to talking, and originally we were going to do pressure washing. That was the original, but those units are expensive. Those trailers. Yeah, at the time I was making $11.45 an hour. So that, there's no way, to afford that. So I worked there. Him and I decided to come up with a company. Originally, it wasn't G&T Corporate Cleaning Services. Originally, it was, so for Lewis and Gregg, it was L&G Corporate Cleaning Services. So that was the first name. That was what was in the system. That was the very first. That dissolved. That relationship dissolved pretty quick. And then I met another guy. His name's Tripp. So then we switched it to G&T Corporate Cleaning Services. That's Gregg and Tripp Corporate Cleaning Services. I left it there. That dissolved. So I kept the business, but really things did not pick up until, I guess, we started in roughly 2002 is when things took off. And the reason was because I found out we were pregnant with our first daughter. That was Carly Simmons, my oldest. Hey, Carly. So that was our first. And that's when you get manned up really quick, when you realize you're going to have a kid. I was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a kid and stuff like that. And I was like, I got to grow up real fast. So that's when things really went into fast forward. So within about 6-7 months after I found out Carly was going to be born, I quit my day job, started working fully at night. My first big account was Chili's restaurant in Watauga. So I picked up Chili's. I picked up a lot of Chili's, Buffalo Wild Wings. Remember Bennigan's? Do you remember Bennigan's?
Oh, yeah.
You remember all that?
You probably don't remember Bennigan's.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, man.
You remember the brass railing?
Oh, yeah.
We had to clean all that with the Brasso. Remember the Brasso?
Yeah.
And the Brasso, all that stuff. Crazy. So then things picked up, and ever since then, and then, of course, 13 months later, we had our second daughter, Grayson Simmons. Hey, Grayson. So then things got even more serious. So I had to really get more momentum and so forth and so on. And from there, business was good. And then, we had that recession. So
2009.
2009?
Yeah,
Okay.
2008, 9.
So then things started to start plummeting. They started just nosediving. And, business was just kind of tough and everything. And then, then I got divorced from...
Wait, we got to go back.
Oh, we got to go back?
You missed the story.
Did I miss a story?
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese.
What Chuck E. Cheese?
Didn't you tell me a Chuck E. Cheese story once? Weren't you cleaning Chuck E. Cheese?
That's when I was carpet cleaning.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
well, we
for
gotta talk about that story.
We had
though.
to talk about that story.
Weren't you dancing around with the Chuck E. Cheese guy or something?
No, we were cleaning carpets at night when I was working for.
Yeah, you got to give the nitty gritty details of that story that
Okay.
he told me not too long ago.
Okay, yeah. So we were, we were cleaning
This
the
is
carpets.
like I'm going to put on my little priest outfit.
Here
This
we
is
go.
true confessions.
Yes.
True confessions of the janitor.
Yeah, this was like 2:00 in the morning, and we're cleaning carpets with a wand, and the guy that was with me, my helper, was Jesse, and it was like 2 a.m. At the time there was no cameras in Chuck E. Cheese. There is now. So we decided to turn on all the video games, make our own pizza. So we're serving pizza, playing, all these different driving games and stuff. We're just having a good old time because the office is in Chuck E. Cheese is in Arlington, and then the office was on Colorado Street in Cooper, or Colorado and Collins. So it was like really 5-minute drive. So that was our last stop. So we're like, hey, let's just play around a little bit, kill some time. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and so on stage I had the little drummers and all that. So I decided to get one of the sticks out of the hand, and I'm sitting in that gorilla's lap, hitting the. So then my friend Jesse goes in the back room and puts on the Chuck E. Cheese costume, just the hat, just the whatever that top is,
Right.
and then grabbed a roll knife from the back and started chasing me around with it. So we're acting like a bunch of buffoons. Yes. So then I get the fire extinguisher. He said, "Okay." I said, "We're done. We need to leave. We need to get onto the office." So he goes into the restroom, and I get the fire extinguisher. So I'm waiting for him to come out. When he comes out, I just wasn't thinking. I kept thinking water's going to come out the other end, but that white chalk foam come flying out or whatever, just doused, that entire hallway. So we wound up having to clean all that up. Yes.
And these are the stories that the customers never hear about.
And everyone on the podcast, don't do that.
Now there's cameras in the building.
Yes.
So yeah, you can't, yeah.
I used to tell everybody when I was, I was always my worst. Like, I would fire myself for the stuff I did back in the day, especially now that we're back in the Denver market. I grew up in that market. And so the stuff we did, like, we had this customer that they actually printed the TV guide. So it was a 150,000 square foot building with all the huge web presses. They're huge.
Uh-huh.
And on the drums, they have these big aluminum plates.
Yes.
Well, one day we were on the back porch and we took those aluminum plates and folded them up and made them into paper or airplanes, and we're throwing them off the back of the porch.
Yeah.
And they're all used, so they go into recycling. So you could bend them and fold them, and we were trying to come up with all these designs and make these different airplanes. And that side of the building in Colorado faced the west. Yeah, it faced the west. And I remember turning around, and I'm like, why is the sun coming up? We had so much fun doing this that we literally lost the entire night. And I looked down, and it was like 5:30 in the morning, and the shift started at 6.
Nothing's cleaned.
Nothing's even cleaned. We hadn't even started yet. And I'm like, we got to start cleaning. There was 11 bathrooms around the perimeter.
Yeah.
So we started cleaning. Like, I was like, you start cleaning the bathrooms. We had to dust mop over 150,000 square feet between all the presses. And then they didn't have just normal trash cans. They had 55-gallon drums that were always full of just all the waste paper coming, from misprints or whatever. So sure enough, man, at 6 o'clock, that morning shift comes in, and we're just trying to run through the building. But yeah, I could probably tell a lot of stories like that.
Remember your daughter sitting right here next to me.
That's why I say I was always my worst employee. Oh, yeah, another one in that building. We always had pallet jack races.
Yes.
So it was all concrete, and they had the paved aisles. So we'd go in there, and we'd get 2 pallet jacks, and we'd just race them around the center of the building. Again, this was all pre-camera day, and now you can't do that because Big Brother's watching you.
I really hope none of our ICs are watching.
Yeah,
this.
if you're watching this and you work for us, turn this off now. We'll have to put a disclaimer on the bottom. So I got one more funny story since we're sharing funny stories.
He's just letting it all out.
Yeah,
He
this is true confessions.
Yeah.
We're going to swap. So
Here we go.
so we had this building. It was built like a V, and I'm actually going to try to get this building back up now that we're in Denver again. But it was built like a V, like this. Well, me and one of my buddies would always have trash can flipping contests. If you've never seen my trash can flipping skills, I'm like an expert level trash can flipper. So we do these things where you dump the trash, you dump your trash, and then you flip the can in the air, and then you hold your hand out like this, and then the can has to land in your hand. Okay. So then we got really, like, we could throw them behind our back, through our legs. We'd toss them back and forth, doing all these tricks with them. I could do it to where I'd hold it in my hand and then flip it like this, and it would go sideways and then land back in my hand. Like, we had all of these expert level tricks we did with trash can flipping, right? So this building is built like a V, and we're over there like, I don't know, probably for an hour, flipping trash cans, doing all this stuff. And you could look, like, in the V, there was like a corridor that was outside the building, and then we look, and I look through the window across the corridor, and I see all these people on the window on the other side like this, looking through the window, trying to see what in the world we were doing over there. So they had a 24-hour call center on the other side, and these ladies that were in the call center were watching us through the window the whole entire time we were flipping trash cans. It was so much fun.
Were they mad?
Huh?
Were they mad?
No, they were all enthralled. They were like, wow, you guys are really talented.
I'm sure.
If you had a cell phone.
We've never seen anybody. You guys should join the circus. You're so good at flipping trash cans.
The janitorial life, right?
And we were always playing jokes on each other like that. Like, it's funny the kind of stuff we did back then. It's just crazy. So, yeah. All right.
Well, back on track.
Back on track.
Okay.
Go ahead and go into a little bit about what you do now, what your role is, and just where your company is today.
The man of many hats. So, yeah.
So your sales, operations.
Yeah.
Not accounting.
No.
You're not allowed to touch the money.
I'm not allowed to touch the money. That's my
Okay.
Hanan. I don't touch. I love you. I'm no good with that. I mean, we would be in a cardboard box under the bridge if it wasn't for her. So, we're the company. We don't owe anything to anybody. Our personal debt will be done we paid it all. Everything will be done in about 18, 19 more months.
Nice.
So we'll be
Awesome.
completely different.
Congratulations.
Personal and yes. So
This isn't a Dave Ramsey show, though, so let's move on.
Hey.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I love that guy.
So for the people out there that have absolutely no idea who you are, what is your company name? What would you say, like, your niche in janitorial? Do you do everything? Like, are you just like integrity? Kind of explain like what y'all do a little bit.
Okay, so we have 2 divisions. We have a maintenance division and a construction division. We have probably 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 different supervisors and probably around 50 contractors. So then each contractor has probably anywhere between 5 to 14 accounts that they take care of. So it's pretty it's going pretty good in that area. But as far as what I do is that a client will call me. I have 2 numbers, I have 2 cell phones, so they can call me, the Dallas and the Fort Worth location. They can call me and say, hey, Greg, this and this is going on. No problem. They'll send out. We're real big on videos and pictures. So the client will send us pictures or videos. I'll send it to our supervisor. That happened yesterday. We had to dispatch somebody to Dallas, over the owner's table, which is a glass table like this. It was cleaned with a contaminated rag. I think there was stainless steel on it, and they cleaned the glass table. I know. It happens. It happens.
Yep.
And so the supervisor dispatched the crew, go back out there and clean it up, wake up and go, But it makes them more attention to detail when they have to get up out of bed. They worked all night, go take care of their stuff and clean their mess up.
Yeah.
So we're real big on that. If they don't do it, if the supervisor can't do it or the cleaners can't do it, I will go out there and then we back charge them. I back charge them for having to do their work. So
what would you say your wheelhouse is? I know that you were early on when you and I first, kind of started talking, you were really heavy into the construction clean side of it, which is mostly, if I understand correctly, mostly like residential houses and things like that.
We do a lot of post-construction cleaning on houses, but a lot of our stuff is commercial buildings. We do a lot of industrial. So they range between 3,000 square feet all the way up to, I think we're up to like 1 million square feet. So right in that range. It's pretty broad. But yes, a lot of window cleaning, pressure washing, auto scrubs, things like that. So,
what do you think the number one lesson you've learned so far in business?
What I have learned, integrity, transparency with your clients. Just be honest, walk the walk, talk the talk. I get a lot of feedback from clients, whether it's construction or the maintenance side. They will say to me, hey, Greg, we appreciate you coming out and emptying a trash can. They like to see the owner of a business come out and do that. They like to see us respond fast. They don't like it to where we'll take care of it. It doesn't get taken care of 3 or 4 days later, go by, they can't get a hold of anybody. I've heard a lot of horror stories. They like to see my face, and they like to see our supervisor's face, and they just like to see things get executed, that they feel number one at all times, and that's extremely important. So no matter how big a client is or how small, they all get treated like they pay us, millions of dollars a month, so to speak. It's extremely important.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about integrity and character a little bit. We actually had that in our meeting this morning.
We did.
You want to highlight what we learned this morning?
We watched a leadership video with John Maxwell, right?
Yep.
John Maxwell. And he talks about different laws in these leadership videos and everything. And it was basically just an entire kind of presentation about how without trust and integrity, no one will follow you as a leader. And it happens gradually. So when you're dishonest or they can't trust you in one certain area, they kind of take change from you until it gets to the point where you have no money, which means you have no more trust left. Mm-hmm. And you can gain that trust back and get more change back in your pocket, but it takes a lot more effort and it's in smaller increments to get that trust back than it is to keep it.
Mm-hmm. I think we all know in business that trust is easily earned, and once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. It's like, and that's one of the things he talked about in that video was really just walking with integrity, walking with character, and then having, I always say that character is what you do when you're by yourself, and it's the small things that matter, right? And so, and that's how we build customer relationships was, like you said, the owner coming out and changing dumping a trash can, it's a small thing, but it matters.
It's on a big scale.
Yeah.
It really does. And, there's been so many times where we've seen where our supervisors or our cleaners have found debit cards, rings, driver's license, cell phones, actual money. That happened last night. There was $40 found on the floor. Well, you don't know if that's a test or if that's somebody really dropped that, and that's what I always tell our crews, listen, just always be honest, and so they take a picture where they found it, they leave a note, and that builds, whether it was an accident, whether it was done purposely or not, it builds trust. So that way, if something ever does come up missing, we've never saw it, which has happened where we've had clients call us and say, hey, did you find a driver's license or a debit card? I said, I'll ask the crew. We didn't find anything. Well, they trust us because of our past, our relationship we have with them. So that's extremely important, is to be completely honest with your clients.
Well, and we're in an environment. I mean, I've always been fascinated with the fact that I can go give a client a proposal. Mm-hmm. They don't, I can't even begin to tell you, probably 95% or more of our clients don't even check references. Mm-hmm. And I can give them a proposal, they like the price, and then I can walk over to their building and get the alarm code and a master key for their facility with not many questions asked. And so it's again, I think, comes back to what we were saying earlier. It's that human nature of trust. Mm-hmm. We always give trust. Like, I think our normal human nature is just to give trust automatically and then wait to see if that trust is ever going to get broken. And then you kind of have two ways you can go. You can break the trust or you can reinforce the trust. And I think what you're saying is really reinforcing the trust, because if I've had 5 incidences of, hey, I found $40 and here's the picture and we put it in the drawer to make sure it was secure or whatever, and then you have that 6th incident where, like you said, a driver's license or a debit card comes up missing and you're like, no, we didn't see it. Well, the trust has already been established, so they're like, okay, well, if they didn't see it, they didn't see it. Whereas in another situation where if you've had, ample problems or you have, then something comes up, then that trust is no longer there, and that's typically when you lose the contract because you're like, well, trust has been broken too many times.
Well, do you remember that account when I worked for you and you were out at the Mesquite Airport still, but it was over there by Texas Motor Speedway?
Yep.
They would never give us a key, and they would never give you a key and access to the building. And by me going over there, I established a relationship with the manager, whatever she was at the time, and I got access to the building.
Yeah.
He gave me, because it's trust, because she feels trust, and there's a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
So I remember that vividly. So I
think that was that Don D over there?
I don't know, was that plumbing, where they sell the plumbing, the internal guts of the plumbing?
I remember that.
Is that it?
And I think it's and I always look at that when we're the new contractor coming in and they want to be like, well, it's a day clean, or there's a reason why that, whatever. I always look at it like, well, they've had a bad experience before.
Exactly.
They've had a crew that stole from them, or they've had some kind of a situation that caused them to be like, no, we're day clean only. And then you can go back and reestablish those relationships, and eventually, like you said, you got that trust in there, and
right.
You come in and like, oh, okay, yeah, great, yeah, you can have the key, I trust you, that's cool, so.
Yeah, and that's what we do with our crews. Then when we have our meetings and stuff, I just let them know, like, hey, listen, you've got to, the clients have to trust you. They have to completely trust you, and I want to set ourselves apart. There's other janitorial companies out there, and I explain to them what I've seen with other companies, what I've heard. Because when we go bid, I hear all the time, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. I can't get anybody out here. I've seen the sales guy one time, haven't seen him since. The crew changes, they come in weird hours. Sometimes they miss days. So that's what I tell our new crews. Like, we're going to this building and they don't trust us automatically. So we have to set ourselves apart. So, for instance, and I don't even ask this, I have some crews that literally will take, no joke, they will take the paper towels in the break room and they'll turn it into a bow. Or around Christmas time, they'll take the toilet paper and they'll put it at a point. And then on Amazon, you can buy like these little stamp-looking things. You'll put water on it and hit it. It'll say Happy Holidays on it. Be an impression across the thing. So little things like that I don't ask. They just do. And the client's like, we don't even want to touch it because it looks so pretty. And
you don't tell the client that they dip that in the toilet when they
I mean, we have a crew like that. City of Aubrey, we've cleaned for 15, 20 years
coming up on
now.
20 years, yeah.
And they added another building the other day, and I was doing a walkthrough, and the guy was like, did you know how much we love the crew we have? And I was like, oh, that's great. We always love to hear good feedback. And he was like, no, but seriously. So when she first started here, and as new employees come in, she asks for our birthdays. And when she comes and cleans the night before, she'll decorate whoever's office it is like for their birthday, and she'll either like bring lunch for everyone the next day, or she'll bake a cake for them and everything. And he was like, we love her because we've never asked her to do that, but she goes all out for our birthdays and makes us feel special. And I was like, Wow.
Yeah, that's
incredible.
above and beyond, no doubt,
Yeah.
right?
That's way beyond. That's incredible. I like that.
So what do you think your biggest success in janitorial has been?
The business. You mean the size of the account, or what do
Just
you mean?
the biggest win you've ever felt, like whatever that looks like. Or we could start with your biggest failure and then go from there.
Well, the biggest failure. Well, you got me. See what he's doing? I know what he's doing.
I know the journey, so I have the inside track.
Oh man,
We're
Why
still
did I
in
do
the
this?
true confession mode.
I should have just met with you one-on-one. Not him.
I'm a lot nicer.
Yes, he's just like, the biggest success. I wouldn't say it's from a financial standpoint. It's just, I guess it's just who I am and the feedback I get from the clients. They always tell me, just what I'd said, just being transparent, honest, always out here on top of your business, being involved in your business. That's important. That's the way I was brought up, is always, you can't do it all yourself. I know they say if you want it done right, do it yourself. You can't do that. So I really am hard on our I'm hard on our contractors and our supervisors, but it's for a reason. I do it out of love, I guess you would say.
Right.
Yeah, I just tell them, like, listen, I'm this way because, my expectations are a lot higher. So that would be, I would say, the best thing about the business is, and the biggest win would be definitely just who I am with my clients, I guess, that's all I can really say.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. Money is just money. It's nice to have money, but it comes and goes. It's just dollar signs, decimal points to me.
Yeah.
With my biggest failure, man, business or personal?
Either. We talk about both here.
Okay, let's just get it all out, right?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about God here in a minute.
All right. Well, hey, that's the main reason for my success is God. So, but anyways, I would say the biggest failure would be in the beginning, not listening to the clients in the beginning. I was like, no, that's not right. I'm right. You're wrong. That was my biggest failure.
Do you felt like it was an argumentative point, or do you felt like they were attacking you? What do you?
Yeah,
because I see this a lot there are times where I have conversations with some of our ICs and I'm like, yeah, that's the reason why you don't talk to the customer, because you don't have there's that real brass, unfiltered, like, I'm just going to tell you how it is, and then that breaks down that relationship. And back to trust, that breaks down the trust. So is that what you feel like it was? You were just...
Yeah, I just felt backed in the corner and felt attacked, I guess you would say, in a sense. When it comes to clients and business, you can't take it personally. And Hanan, my wife now, she said, listen, business is business, personal is personal. It's not personal, it's business. So if you lose an account, you can do the best. You can bend over backwards. I can just pat you on the back, say, hey, we love you. You're such a wonderful cleaning crew, blah, blah, blah. We're sorry we found somebody cheaper. We've had our throat cut over $75 a month.
Right.
Literally. And I'm just like, where's the loyalty? So at one time in my life, I thought the way I treat people, I expect to be treated the same way. It doesn't work that way, and I had to learn that. And my expectations of people were the way that I treated them. And it doesn't work that way. So I had to learn to get over that, build a bridge and get over it.
So you're a little bit more tough on your skin.
Yeah, I'm just thicker skinned. I'm like, okay, we lose an account. Like, okay, well, I'm sorry. Have a good day. Good luck. I hope you find somebody that makes you happy, so.
I think the more you grow in business too, you're in early days, if you only have 4 or 5 accounts, you're really deeply emotionally involved with those customers.
That's true.
They mean a lot to you.
That's true.
And then as you grow, you get tougher skin because you've been, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, the bigger you get, I think, like you said earlier, you understand business is business more than you do kind of early in the phases where you're. And I think people get locked into where they're like, oh, I got 4 or 5 accounts I can feed my family. And then they don't go out and try to get more accounts or grow, knowing that there's a normal attrition rate to a client. Clients cancel for multiple reasons. You might have a management change. Like we had one yesterday that was a big one for us to lose, and it was because the building owner and the management changed, and basically they fired the property management firm, which means they wanted to go with their own company.
Right.
I asked my ops team, how'd the building look? The building's beautiful. They were happy. There's those type of things that happen that you just can't control,
Right.
but you have to prepare yourself for that emotionally, financially. You have to put yourself in a position where you're like, always think about if I lose all these. Like, I'm always fascinated because my dad cleaned the same building for 26 years, and that's how he's made his living.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid growing up, we only had one building, and that was all he ever had. And he was able to maintain that for 26 years, but at any level that he would have lost that building, we would have been financially distraught because he didn't have a plan. There was no like, oh, I'm going to have another building or any of that kind of stuff. So I would tell people that are listening is always have a plan and always be working on your backup, because janitorial comes and goes. As you're only as good as your last clean.
That's right.
So you do one screw up, or you have a crew that messes up, or you have some kind of problem, and the next thing you know, you're out the door. So.
And see, and with what you're saying, that happened early on, is that money was, got all the restaurants before the recession, money was coming in. I was doing motocross, buying motorcycles, buying parts, just blowing money. And I didn't have a plan. I was like, oh, this ride's going to last forever. And then when the recession hit, we started losing everything. So we have remember the old King Ranch 80-hour expeditions? Had one of those brand new. I mean, we just had everything. And then you have all these bills and you have all the money. Then all of a sudden the money comes below the bills. You're like, how do you pay that? So then, literally the expedition got repoed. No joke. The house was almost in foreclosure. Just a lot of problems. And it woke me up. It's a good thing that happened. And I think a lot of it is because I wasn't living right. Because when I was going through those troubles when you and I were together, I think somewhere in that area. And then I wasn't living right. I wasn't doing what was right. I think God was just trying to thump me and wake me up. And he woke me up. So now.
So share as much of that journey as you feel comfortable with sharing, because
Sure.
I feel like it's important for people to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle is, I think a lot of times people get on podcasts and they want to talk about how great we are. We got these many millions and da-da-da-da-da. And then there's people that listen to this, that the struggle is real. They're listening to this and they're in their own struggle and they're trying to figure out, like, how am I going to navigate through this? How do I hold on for one more day? And I know I witnessed you in those moments.
Yeah.
I witnessed you hiding your truck because the bank was looking for
Yes,
it and
that's right.
and all that. So share that valley just a little bit so that somebody that's listening to this might relate. And then also tie that into kind of like before you kind of realized, like, hey, I need to get my life straight with God.
Okay, so basically partying, drinking, clubs, all kinds of bad stuff, just into everything. Always been a Christian, but just running from God. So I ran from him. And our God's a jealous God. And he's trying to get my attention, like, Greg, I'm trying to wake you up. Greg, you're not listening. Started losing accounts, credit went down to like I think a 438. My credit went down, if that's even possible.
I think you can get to 350.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Dang, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
You're right. Truck. I had to park the truck next door. Had a black Chevrolet truck. Had to park it in his garage. It was going to get repoed. Didn't make house payments for a year. We lost all of our restaurants. I think we had, around the recession time, with our own accounts, we had Bocking Doors jewelry store in Plano. I don't know if you know where that one is. And then we had a Children's Lighthouse daycare, and that was the only two accounts we had. And we didn't have any more. And we had at the time 18 or 20 accounts, but there were restaurants. And then we had one pharmaceutical building that was a 4-story building. And we had lost all that real quick. And I was like, what's going on? What is going on? And, and that's, I think, remember we talked about that a little bit. And I think what it was is, if you're not living right, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to get your skull thumped. And that's what happened to me. And I mean, it was just scaring me. I remember, true story, the guy that shut your electric off, it's Atmos, was it Atmos? No, I can't remember who he is, but he drove by and he said, I'm fixing to cut your power off. He said, but I'll tell you what, I got to cut some other power off. I'll come back about an hour, so I'll give you a chance to get the bill rectified before I cut your power off. So I had to call Mom and Dad, hey, can I get some money? Power's about to get cut off. So yeah, things like that, it's real. I've had the water cut off. just, yeah, it's, the struggle's real.
Yeah. So what do you think the turnaround point for you was in that moment?
I think one time we were, my first wife and I, we were hanging out with some friends, drinking, just having a good time. And I just stood back, and I was sitting on the couch and just watching all the partying and the drinking, and everybody's doing the shots. And I looked back and I was like, literally somebody just spoke to me, "What are you doing, Greg?" And I thought to myself, what am I doing? What are you doing here? Why are you doing this? You got, had our 2 daughters. They were at my parents' house. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then that's when I started going to church, praying, had to come to Jesus meeting with myself and God, got on my hands and knees. I mean, I think, you bow to God, one knee. I was literally face down on the floor. My head was on the carpet, crying and apologizing. And ever since then, things started just popping. So now we don't live beyond our means at all. We live very frugal. My wife, Hanan, she makes sure there's always plenty of money in the bank, pays all of our bills on time. Sometimes she pays more, getting things paid off. That's where we are now. So everything's a lot better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I'm telling you, it's from God in the way you live your life,
Yeah.
That's just the truth. And that's just been my journey. So anybody that's listening, if you're having those same kind of struggles, I would say, snap out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Got any thoughts? No.
No, I do have.
I don't know how to I know I have another question. I just don't know how to follow that up.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you one last thing, and this is two things. Back in the day when we were, you still had to pay your insurance, your accord for with your insurance with your company, your general liability policy. Literally, I couldn't afford to pay it no more, so it lapsed. So I would literally, I can't believe I'm saying this. So I would get on the computer, and I would change. I look at the dates, the expiration dates on the forms, and I would take the numbers and I would print out new numbers, and then I would take that, I would cut it out with a pair of scissors. I would Scotch tape it to that and run it through the scanner, and then I would make a brand new and make it look like I did have insurance.
Wow.
Yeah. And was so broke one time. This is going to blow your mind. I think I've told you this. A friend of mine, Ray. Hey, Ray. he called me up and said, Greg, hey, you want to go get an ice cream? Let's take he has a boy and a girl, and I had my 2 girls at the time. He was like, hey, he's like, you want to go get an ice cream at McDonald's right down the street? I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I can. He goes, how come? I said, because I've got $2 in my account, and that if you swipe your card, it goes negative. Well, the bank charges you, $38 for insufficient fees? I said, I can't even afford ice cream. And that is a true story.
Yep. Yeah. I remember you telling me that story.
And that's how broke I've been.
Yeah.
Running from creditors. I didn't want to be there no more. So, thank goodness God showed me my new wife, Hanan. She has been she's my rock, and she is just awesome. I mean, she's great with finances. Her and I both sat down and worked everything out, but we both brought this business back to life. But without her, I probably wouldn't be around today. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you led in with when you said you'd be living in a cardboard box. I think people kind of understand that a little better now.
Yeah. I mean, we were looking at the house was going to be foreclosed on. I told the girls we're going to be moving into a 3-bedroom apartment. Why, Dad? Well, we got to leave our house. I got the letter in the mail. They come out. They're going to take your house away and throw everything out on the driveway. But Hanan, she actually saved that. When she came into my life, she actually fronted the money for that out of her own. I think when she worked at TD Ameritrade, she had quit, and then she worked for our company, or she went to work, and we did the 50-50 thing, partnership, and then I think she had some sort of was it like a 401k or something?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so she took all that, cashed it in, and then she got us out of debt.
Wow.
Thanks to her.
Yeah, kudos to her.
But God, he puts people in your life.
He does.
He does, and you got to be able to recognize that.
You start walking in obedience.
That's right.
Makes a big difference.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
And if you don't, he'll start, now, Greg, we're not going to go down this road again. No, sir. He is the boss. He is the owner of my company. I just work for him.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's good. Well, we feel the same way here at IFS too.
That's right.
Yeah. Good. Do you have any follow-up questions?
You had something you were going to say.
Yeah, but I feel like we should end on that note.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any closing thoughts that you'd like to tell anybody that just watched this? A word of encouragement, anything you'd like to say?
Just if you're starting a janitorial business or you've been in it for quite a while, just don't live beyond your means. Be real frugal, be real cautious, make sure that you don't have too much debt, keep your debt to ratio low. Just be real cautious. It's like chess moves. You got to be real strategic. Sit down and talk about it with your business partner, or sit down and talk about it with somebody you trust, whether it's, should we take this account, or should we spend money here? Should we do this or something? It's real. You got to be real cautious what you do.
Yeah.
Very cautious.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's
good word.
Yeah.
I think that, I've seen it so many times where, like you said, you got all these accounts coming in, you think it's going to last forever. So it's a great word for everybody to listen to. And, I think we all try to, especially entrepreneurs, because we're visionaries, we tend to think outside of the boundaries of where we should be. And so I've seen entrepreneurs fail because they're that big vision, but the vision is bigger than where they're at the moment. And so it's, like you said, it's calculated. Sit down, figure it out, work through it. So,
and that's what Hanan does. She brings me back down to earth,
Right.
I get up in the cloud and I'm like, oh, we can be doing this, we can be doing that. We spend money here, there. She's like, slow down. Your ADD's kicking in. Let's talk. She was like, no, she grounds me. Like, no, you need to be cautious, pray about it, and then let's just see where the road takes us in that area. And she's always right. I hate that.
Yeah. Hey, he said a woman was always right. How do you feel about that?
I was about to ask him if he could point that question to the one sitting over there.
The one that's running the board.
Yeah.
He'll learn. He'll learn.
Train him.
Sometimes us as guys are a little slow, but he'll learn.
Give him a little good boy, give him a little dog biscuit, a good boy. That's what Hanan will do to me. She'll be like, good boy, you want a dog treat? A Scooby snack.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching this episode of the Cleaning Hustle, and we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with us and maybe learn a few little key things on how to run your business. So, as always, subscribe and like our channel, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.